Hey everyone, this is Derek, author and webmaster of Gematrinator.com. Today I'd like to do a short video on the death of serial killing mastermind Charles Manson. If you're new to my work, or the language of Gematria, I provided some links in the description so you can see how our language has been crafted over time to facilitate the use of Gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words. Frequently, people who are new to my work discredit it or brush it off as coincidence. And it's hard to blame them, because if I also grew up thinking that school taught us everything there is to learn, I might say the same thing. Learning this code is very ego-shattering, and it's something many people are simply unable to deal with. Over the past couple years, I've had to come to terms with the fact that almost everything I thought I knew to be true was a complete fabrication. And this is coming from a guy who knew 9/11 was an inside job since 2004. Despite knowing that, I never thought the news was airing stories that were flat out fake. But as time went on, I knew something wasn't right. And after digging for enough truth, I came across this Gematria practice. And I was very skeptical at first. I had seen the work of Zachary K. Hubbard, who has now had 9 or 10 YouTube channels deleted, and also the work of Dan Barrett, a very underrated channel, by the way, who will be linked below. And if you're not familiar with Dan's work, this guy has been so on top of things lately. He's always been good, but if you watch his work on the cast of Stand By Me from the past couple weeks, it'll really blow your mind. So thanks, Dan, and definitely check his channel out. Now, most people who found Zach's work either denied it or believed it, but I'm not like most people, so I went ahead and built the internet's first multi-layered Gematria calculator so I could study this for myself and see if it was true. And it didn't take me long to realize that this is absolutely what's happening. And yes, we really are being lied to on a massive scale few of us can comprehend. So I've been doing this work for almost a year, but over the past several months I've really been focusing on events related to total solar eclipses. This all started with the death of Chris Cornell and was later confirmed by the death of Chester Bennington 33 days before the eclipse. Since then, I've not only been relating current events to this great American total eclipse of 2017, but I also began going back in time and decoding events from prior decades that also turned out to be rituals and tributes to these eclipses. Since I began this work, my site has been attacked, my channel's been censored, I've been bludgeoned by paid trolls in the comments, and I've had plenty happen to me in my personal life to let me know that I'm under surveillance. On that note, I'm also going to leave a link to a video from a whistleblower who used to work with a private security contractor, discussing the types of things being used to harass enemies of the state. And let me tell you, from personal experience, at least many of the things that he's sharing are very likely true. But anyway, back to Charles Manson. So like I said, I've been exposing how major news events, such as the O.J. Simpson trial, the death of Selena, the death of Eva Cassidy, and even the September 11th attacks, were all major tributes to total solar eclipses. And this man right here is an absolutely perfect example. And I'm glad this character died when he did, so I can only prove my point further. So here I am on Wikipedia, and notice the date of this photograph that they have for Charles Manson, August 14th, 2017. These dates on Wikipedia are never a coincidence. Measuring from August 14th to the date that he died, 11/19/2017, is 97 days. The word death in reverse Gematria equals 97. Manson was born on November 12th, 1934. This means he died at the age of 30,323 days. November 19th, the date he died, is the 323rd day of the year. This 323 is a significant number. Lucifer in Jewish Gematria sums to 323. In that same cipher, Satan sums to 232. Charles Manson died in the city of Bakersfield, California. And in Jewish Gematria, Bakersfield equals 232. Also note the English extended value of 272. Why is this number interesting? Well, first off, the word death has double Gematria of 272 in both trigonal and reverse satanic. Also, if you take the width of the moon, 2,159 miles, and divide it by the width of the Earth, which is 7,900 and 17 miles, you get 0.272. Charles Manson in the reverse alphabetical order equals 209. Now this is a very significant number that I've talked about in a couple of my recent videos. In Hebrew, the word for solar eclipse sums to 209. And Charles Manson's whole life, everything about him, has to do with solar eclipses. See this Hebrew ordinal value of 83? In my video on the 9/11 attacks, I mentioned that September 11th fell a span of 83 days after the last total solar eclipse, this one happening to occur on the summer solstice. And if we go ahead 2 total solar eclipses, it turns out it was 803 days before. So let's look at the eclipse database and look at the total solar eclipses that occurred around the time of Charles Manson's birth on November 12, 1934. And here are the 3 eclipses that are closest. And wait till you see this. If you measure from August 31st, 1932 to his birth date, November 12th, 1934, it's exactly 803 days. How about this next eclipse, February 14th, 1934, the same year he was born? 2/14/34, this comes out to a span, with the end date included, of 8 months and 30 days. Furthermore, let's look at this other eclipse. This one is the first to have occurred after he was born, on June 19th, 1936. And look how many weeks this was. 83 weeks and 4 days without the end date. This also measures out to 1 year, 7 months, and 7 days. Using the alphabetic order, eclipse of the sun equals 177, and using primary Kabbalah gematria, total eclipse equals 177 in the ALW cipher. The date November 19th, on which he died at age 83, if we measure to the last total solar eclipse just this year on August 21st, we find that this comes out to a span of 91 days. Looking at square numbers, the cipher that multiplies each number by itself before adding it to the equation, eclipse equals 901. 91, of course, significant in that it's the 13th triangular number. See here, 91, the 13th triangular. Add every number up 1 through 13, it sums to 91. The word ritual equals 1391 in square numbers. Manson was, of course, born in the year 34, and in reduction gematria, his initials, CM, Charles Manson, that's 3 plus 4. Also, check out this. The word murder in reduction equals 34. And of course, he died at the age of 83. And that's in addition to all the 83 syncs I showed you with the solar eclipses. This man's full name was Charles Mills Manson. And in gematria, this equals 632 in the Jewish cipher. And let me tell you who really crafted this story. It's the ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, one of the main secret societies involved in scripting your news by the numbers. In reverse ordinal, they have a gematria of 632. Also in English extended, Jewish equals 632, Freemasonry, rooted in Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. Charles Manson's full name, Charles Mills Manson, of course that's not his birth name, all these names are given to these people. He has double gematria of 290. Remember, eclipse in Hebrew not only equals 209, but also 29. It's also possible this has something to do with the gematria of the synagogue of Satan, which is also 290 reverse order. The most famous murder that Manson was involved in was the Sharon Tate murders. Sharon Tate, using the alphabetic order, equals 121. 121 is 11 squared. And this is interesting because if you look at the eclipses that occur nearest to Sharon Tate's birthday, you find that one occurred on February 4th, 1943, and she was born on January 24th of that year, meaning that this was just 11 days without the end date included. Not only that, there was another total solar eclipse a year later on the date January 25th. This date happens to be 1 year and 1 day, like another 11. There's also this total eclipse that happened in 1939, not terribly far from the midway point between the birthdays of Charles Manson and Sharon Tate. Well, if we measure from this eclipse, October 12, 39, to Charles Manson's birth date, about 5 years earlier, we find it's exactly 59 months. And in my last video, I just talked about the Tehama County, California shootings, which ended up at an elementary school exactly 59 months to the day after the Sandy Hook shootings. And the word kill in Jewish Gematria equals 59. If we instead measure from this eclipse to the date of Sharon Tate's birthday, look at this, we get exactly 1,200 days. Think about how there's 12 signs in the zodiac, 12 hours in each half of the day. This is a number that's significant for time. In fact, 12 times 12 equals 144. And in Jewish Gematria, time equals 144. But what's so interesting about this is that if you take her full name, Sharon Marie Tate Polanski, and plug that in, look at the English extended. It's exactly 1,200. Also in Jewish Gematria, it sums to 880. Although Sharon Tate died on the date August 9th, the home invasion that ended up in her death occurred on the night of August 8th, 8-8. 88, of course, another number extremely significant to time. Think about the paths of the moon and the sun as they travel throughout the sky, looking like 2 8s. And here we are in another eclipse ritual, so it just seems appropriate. Maybe you caught this earlier. Charles Manson, using triangular numbers, his name sums to 1109. Of course, this has the 119 sequence, a number central to my work. 1109, this is the 186th prime number. When we add his middle name, Charles Mills Manson, we find reverse Sumerian. It sums to 1806, so this is definitely not an accident. But just for the sake of consistency, let's take a look at the Hebrew name for Charles Manson and see what we come up with here. So of course, here we have 47 reduction and 128 ordinal. Let me show you a little something about these numbers. The word killing, with the K exception, where K is 11 because it's a master number and not reduced, killing equals 47. The 47th prime number is 211. Using prime numbers, the word killing equals 211, and just the word kill on its own equals 128 in that cipher. As for this 587, this has an important prime number relationship. 587 is the 107th prime number. You find 107 in the reverse reduction value of ritual sacrifice. Also 22 divided by 7, the first equation to get to pi, that equals 107 reduced. This equation, when written out, equals 314 using the alphabetic order. And when you divide 22 by 7 in a calculator, you find it also sums to 3.14. In Satanic Gematria, the word eclipse equals 314. This brings us to the Gematria of Roman Polanski, who was married to Sharon Tate at the time she was murdered. Roman Polanski, by the way, another rapist who had to flee the country just to get away from the charges. Anyway, his name equals 314 in Frank Baconis. But that's where I'm going to end this video. I'm not going to dig too much deeper into this. I just wanted to show you how this death is another perfect example of how solar eclipses, particularly total solar eclipses, are used as a measuring stick for the rituals by the mainstream Kabbalist news networks. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great one.